Hi, I'm Zach Fredericks. I keep saying Fredericks with an S. No, it's Frederick. It's Zach Frederick. Um, Hello again. Welcome everyone today on Tuesday, October 13th. Is that 2:34 p.m.? I just want to follow up on the video that I made yesterday about I want to follow up on the video I made yesterday about I was talking about the sexualization and sexual exploitation of women, that how a lot of people, feminists and other people, men and women, complain about that. And I was talking about how nobody acknowledges that men get sexualized too all over the place. Right now I'm watching the movie The Earth Stood Still is on. Well, I'm not paying attention to it right now because I'm making this video, but that's what's on right now that I was watching. Anyway, I was talking about the exploitation of men. Got some lint under my beard. I look at it on the picture and I don't know what side it's. Oh shit. There we go. I think I got that. There, I got it. I was talking about that, how the sexualization of men gets ignored in this country and throughout the world. In England and Europe and all over the place, men get exploited. But I'm dealing specifically in this country, men, and I talked about how particularly black men in the black community and the black conscious community and pro-blacks, which again, I love a lot of the work that they do. The black conscious community, you know, and the pro-blacks, people like Professor Griff and Umar Johnson and such people. I admire a lot of their work, and I agree with a lot of the things they say, but there's a few things here and there I don't agree with. And with the sexualization of black women, I do agree with them somewhat. I do agree with them to some extent. Yes, black women get sexualized like crazy, but I'm not saying they're lying. They just haven't talked. I haven't heard Professor Griff or his wife or anybody in the conscious community talk about it. Even Tommy Sotomayor, who I like him, I'm a fan of his. You know, and Raven Masterson, the Happy Hooker 83, I like a lot of her work. I agree with a lot of what she says. But they haven't none of them, none of the people, conscious people or black people on the internet or TV anywhere, people who deal with social issues, none of them have touched on how black men get exploited and sexualized too. Maybe they just haven't really thought about it much, you know. But so that's why I saw one black woman on the internet. Because you type in the search sexualization of black women, you'll find a bunch of movies, a bunch of videos by Professor Griff and a whole lot of people, and Black Dot and a whole bunch of people talking about that. But when you look up the sexualization of black men, you don't see any. I found one video, and it was a young black woman. Let me turn this off because I'm not even watching this. The TV is just on, and you know, I'm not even watching it. It pleased me to see that it was a black woman that was talking about this. a young black woman. And she said how people ignore the sexualization of black men. They only complain about black. And yes, a lot of it is legit. Some of the, like again, me personally, I have no problem with the exploitation and sexualization of women or men. I have no problem. I have no problem with the sexualization of black women or black men if it's consensual, which it usually is, except for in the case of some prostitution rinks in the world, and I've heard in this country are illegal, where they force women and men and children be. I'm against prostitution. I'm against prostitution of children, period. Because the fact that it's children, whether it's consensual or not, I'm against the prostitution of black children, white children, whatever. And there's some of it that's even worse than just child prostitution. Some of it is the children being forced, getting kidnapped and being forced into it. And that's crazy. And I'm against any kind of child prostitution, especially when it's forced. But based on my morals, I know everybody's morals might be different. You know, some other countries might condone that. I am against child prostitution or child porn, even if they do have the children's consent. I still I don't like that, and I'm against that. But I was talking about how the sexualization of black men gets ignored. You see black men on all these Hanes underwear ads and Calvin Klein underwear posing in. You see black male strippers. You see black men in porn and in femdom porn. Black men getting chained up and whipped. Sometimes they're getting dominated by a white woman. Sometimes they're getting dominated by a black woman, getting chained up, getting their balls stepped on, and all kinds of crazy shit. And again, if whatever black women or black men are into that, you like doing that, okay. If you don't like it, then you shouldn't do it. Just don't do it. That's only a decision you can make for yourself. I am not against the sexualization of black men or black women. I'm against the intent in some cases of Hollywood. I've done a lot of research on Hollywood and Illuminati and all that. If the intent by the filmmaker or by that guy that owns the strip club where women strip, or that guy or that woman that owns the strip club where men strip, a person who runs a prostitution rink, whether it's a sugar daddy or a sugar mama, yes, there are a lot of prostitution rinks that's run by sugar mamas. Look into women running, and they have men and they have women as prostitutes or escorts working for them. Listen, if it's consensual and those people do it because they like it or they just need money, but and they're willing to degrade themselves a bit, but it's not. Some people are tougher skinned than others. They can handle it. Some men, some women, and some can't. If you can't handle it, then just don't do it. Even if it's for money. Don't degrade yourself for money if it's going to be too much for you to handle. Then don't do that. Don't put yourself through that. But again, that's only whether you're a woman, man, that's only a choice you can make for yourself. If you're one of these people that, like Shelley Lubins has talked about, woman porn star, male porn star, woman stripper, male stripper, woman prostitute, male prostitute, woman escort, male escort, woman playboy model, male playgirl model, or hustler or jugs or men's well-hung guys of the month, whatever you, man or woman, pose for. If you have issues in your past, like if you're a woman who was molested as a child, that's why you got into stripping, that's why you got into prostitution or porn or whatever. If you're a man who was molested as a child, white man, black man, then you should and you get into porn because you were molested by a man or molested by a woman. You get into porn, prostitution, stripping, whatever, and it's because you have a lack of self-worth and whatever. You start doing, you're a man that gets into femdom porn and have women whipping you and chaining you up. Hey, if you're doing it because you're into that, okay, you're into that rough stuff. But if you're doing it because you were abused as a child, sexually molested, or you've been hurt by women in your life, cheated on by ex-girlfriends, abused by ex-girlfriends, physically, mentally, and so you become numb to it. You're a man that has become numb to that. So you go and be you start doing femdom porns where you have women roughing you up, women chaining you up and whipping you and stepping on your balls and pissing on you and all kinds of shit that they do on there. If you're doing it because of that, hey, if it ends up being therapeutic for you and that shit helps you, okay. But if you do that and it only makes you feel worse about yourself, if it delves you deeper into your problems, then that's not the thing for you. And you should get out of it. Get whatever kind of counseling you need, as Shelley Lubin suggests. And I suggest this for men and women, for women and men. Get professional counseling. Don't deal with psychiatrists and psychologists that give you drugs. You know, drugs don't work. But counseling, person that don't deal with drugs, a counselor or psychiatrist that doesn't deal with drugs, get professional counseling. Seek counseling from family, friends, anybody that cares about you, whether you're a woman or a man who's a stripper, a female stripper, a male who's a stripper, a female or male who's a porn star, or nude model or whatever. And you have issues as to why you did that, because you're a woman that got molested when you were a child. If you're a man who got molested when you were a child, child molestation is rampant through the black community. There's a lot of black women, young black girls who get molested by men and by women. That doesn't get talked about enough. And I'll probably be doing a whole video on that soon. And black men, there's a lot of it. This gets talked about even less. Black boys, all the high rate of black boys who are getting sexually molested by uncles, by men that are friends of the male babysitters, and by women. Yes, by black women. There's a lot of black males who are perverts. There's a lot of black women who are perverts, molesting little boys. And that doesn't get talked about enough. And there's a lot of grown black. There's a lot of grown black men walking around right now who have gotten molested when they were a little boy, and they're ashamed to talk about it because nobody really gives a fuck about helping black boys and especially black men. And we don't talk enough about black girls, how they get molested and abused, and black children getting beat to death by crazy mothers and by babysitters, beating black boys and black girls to death. But we're talking specifically about porn. And I have watched porn. I have seen a lot of femdom porn where where it's men getting dominated, black men, white men getting dominated by black women, by white women, Asian. I've seen that a little bit. I've gotten into it a little bit. It's really not my thing. You know, I have watched that a little bit. It's really not my thing, though. I've watched pornos with it's women getting chained up and whipped, and the ghetto gaggers. That's the most extreme thing I've seen. I didn't think anybody would do that. I have watched that a little bit just to check it out, and that's not my thing either. You know, I've watched that, and especially when they have the two white guys there talking, interviewing. They've had black women, and they've had ones. Those white guys, they've had ones with white women and ones with Latinas, with Hispanic women, where they will ask them, so What about your daddy? And they'd be like, my daddy's dead. What would your daddy think? What would your daddy think if he saw you doing this? He would be ashamed. And they'll be making fun of that. Them three white guys be making fun of that, and they'll talk about traumatic experiences in them women's life while they're sucking dick and fucking. Your dog died. Yeah, how do you feel about that? I felt sad. And they'll be making fun of those women about personal harsh experiences they had in their life, and I think that's cruel. And that's why I don't watch the ghetto gaggers anymore, and not to mention the graphic sex throat fucking and really, choking and shit. Again, if you're into that, but me, it's a little bit extreme for me. If you're a woman who does movies like that, or you have sex in your personal life like that because you're into that, okay, do what you like. There is no right or no wrong with that. But if you're doing that in your personal life or in movies because you really had traumatic experiences happen to you when you were a little girl, happen to you as a teenager or whatever, and you're doing it because you're numb to it, feel a lack of self-worth, and then when you do it, if it makes you feel worse to do those movies like that, it delves you deeper into your problem, then you should stop doing it. Then it's not the thing for you. You need to get counseling. Whether it be you need to get counseling, whether it be professional counseling or from friends, from family, anyone you have in your life that cares about you. Whether you're a woman in that situation, a man who's broken down from fandom porn, or even if it's porn where the woman is getting roughed up. A lot of these men who do those porn that's roughing up these women and choking them, a lot of these white men and black men, Hispanic men, they have been through shit in their lives. They got molested. They've been treated bad, had relationships with women where they got cheated on or mistreated in some kind of way. And so they go into porn seeking revenge to rough some women up in them porn. And then it delves them deeper in their problems. It delves those men deeper into their problem. That's why you see so many male porn stars drop dead of drug overdose and alcohol overdose and suicide, drug-induced suicide. You see male porn stars driving their car off a cliff on purpose because they want to end their life and kill this. And you see women porn stars doing that too. And my whole point of yesterday's video and today is that we don't talk enough about the men that happens to, and specifically black men. Like I said, when you go on to YouTube, you search the sexualization of black women and search, a bunch of shit will pop up, a bunch of videos talking about that. But you go sexualization of black men, you'll see, like, I found one video with a young black woman that was talking, and then it's a bunch of ones when you search the sexualization of black men, you find that one video with a black woman talking about black men getting sex, and then it's a bunch of them talking about black women, and you search for black men, the sexualization of black men, a bunch of videos will come up about black women and only like one or two about black men. And I watched that sister's video. I watched her talk about it, and she was right. How black women they get valued for their big asses and big tits and all that. And black men, we are always getting valued for our penises because supposedly every black man has a big penis. We are always on TV, in the porno movies. They exploit black men, big dicks, and people get to thinking black men are nothing but dumb jocks that all they walking around with big penises and all they're good for is being big brutes with big dicks that fuck good and eat pussy good. They sexualize black women for their lips. They sexualize black men for their big lips. Like LL Cool J. They have him on his videos they have LL Cool J They have LL Cool J on videos with his shirt off and his muscle chest and his six-pack ass, and he'll be licking his lips, all sexy, licking his, you know. And girls, females will be watching that. White women and black women and white women, they'll be watching that on TV. Oh, LL, he looks so good. Just like us men have a reaction when Beyonce's on there shaking her ass. We be like, oh, damn, she fine. Damn. Damn, I want to fuck her. And women, when they see LL and Tupac with his shirt off, and they see Hammer in that video, the bumps and the bumps, with all them women in bikinis, and us men are like, yeah, look at all them fine women in there. And then Hammer, did you see what he had on? Did you see his little stripper speedos he had? And Hammer has a cup body. He's ripped and muscular. And women, I remember females, that came out when I was in like elementary school. I seen that. And then I go to school. The dudes, we're all talking about the chicks in there with the nice bodies and bikini. The females, the black girls especially, they were talking about Hammer and his body. He was in some little stripper speedos dancing around with a bunch of girls, and he had a big bulge up front, looked like he got a kielbasa stuffed in there. And what's her name, the comedian that I like, Cheryl Underwood, she's mad funny. She joked about that. She said, Hammer, I want to know, is that all yours? See, females, they have a reaction to men too when we get sexualized on rap videos. I've seen a Salt and Pepper video before where they have a white man with some little speedos on. It's called None of Your Business. That shit, remember that? None of your business. If I want to take a guy home with me tonight, none of your business. Those of you who remember that video for that? It was a bunch of women, black, Salt and Pepper, and a bunch of other women, and they had these two guys in a site. They had a white guy, and he had some little stripper speedos on, and he was dancing, and the women were throwing the money at him. He was dancing and humping the ground. And then there was a black guy who was in the cipher. He was in the circle, and a bunch of women were throwing money. He had some little stripper speedos on and dancing like a stripper and humping the ground, and there's a bunch of women throwing dollars at him like they're at a strip club or a bachelorette party or something. And the video with Salt and Pepper, what's that one? What a Man with them and En Vogue, where they have the black man on there and they're lusting over his muscle chest and everything. And that one where she said, the guy says 12 inches to a yard, have you screaming like a retard. He's talking about his dick. And the black Salt and Pepper, she's like, hey, what's up with that thing? I want to know, how does it hang? And they're talking about his big dick, and he's sitting on the chair, and he got a vest on. He opened his vest. He got a muscle chest and abs like Tupac, and they're all lusting over, feeling over his chest. I have seen for years, in all the years I've been living, in the 80s and 90s and 2000s, men, and in particular black men, get sexualized all over TV. And all over rap videos. And I don't go to strip clubs, ladies clubs where men strip for women, but I know about them. I know of them. I've seen episodes of talk shows where they'll have some male strippers come out and they will show footage, clips. And I've seen clips on the internet of men stripping at these ladies clubs. There'll be a few homosexual men there, and then it's mostly women in attendance like, yeah, take it off, and throwing bills at him and getting lap dances from him. Male strippers, white men, black men, Asian men, Hispanic men. There's strip clubs all over the country, just the Chippendale circuit alone, and there's a bunch of other ones too. But just that one alone, the Chippendales franchise, is male strip clubs stripping all over the country. And maybe in other parts of the world, too, they have Chippendales. I heard there's one in England, a circuit of Chippendales clubs in England, men getting exploited like and sexualized like a motherfucker. Nobody says anything about the exploitation of men. And in the in particular in the black community, black conscious people and black pro-blacks and, black social activists, I don't hear them talk much or at all about the sexualization and exploitation of black men. If you pay attention, if you notice, you see it everywhere. But nobody seems to notice. They think it's only black. And again, nothing against Professor Griff and his wife. I like a lot of the work that they've done. I've seen a lot of their videos. I'm a fan of theirs. And they say a lot of stuff I agree with. And no disrespect to Brother Umar Johnson and Raven Masterson and Tommy Sotomayor, Tariq Nasheed. I like a lot of his videos. There's things all those people have said that I agree with. Most of what they say I agree with. There's some things here and there that I don't agree with. Sister Shahrazad Ali, she was on talk shows since 1990, and I love her work. I agree with her on most of what she says. With a few things, maybe like one or two things I don't agree with, but most of the stuff she says I agree with. And she's been getting shouted down by black women and black men for years. I respect her and admire her for her strength and her bravery to write books and to come out on talk shows and, stand up to these people and tell the truth about what's going on in the black community and how black men are just getting stomped all over. And I love it to see it when especially when black men and especially when black women step up. Lovely T is another black woman who makes videos. I like her videos on black issues. I like David Carroll's stuff. I like his work, David Carroll. This black woman on this one video that I forgot what her name was, she was talking about that, the sexualization of black men, how they're always talking about black men got big penises and exploiting that. And listen, again, I personally don't think there's anything wrong with the exploitation of black men or black women. If it's consensual, and if they're really doing it because they like, and whoever watches it, I watch porn movies. Like I told you, I've seen some of the rough stuff, the rough pornos where they're roughing up women, the femdom porn, where it's a man being roughed up and black men being roughed. I've seen that before. I don't really get into it. That's not my thing. Most of the pornos I watch is the pornos where it's gentle sex, It's not nobody getting there's dick sucking in it, but it's not no one getting throat fucked. Nobody's getting choked and smacked in the face. It's just gentle sex and missionary position, doggy style, cowgirl, reverse cowgirl, all different shit. And, I know Shelley Lubins and people have said that a lot what goes on behind the scenes, women getting smacked around and choked out and having knives put to their throat. Of course, I don't condone any of that stuff. If that kind of thing were happening if that kind of thing were happening in the back rooms at Walmart stores all around the country where women were getting smacked up and choked out and punched in the face, of course I wouldn't condone that anywhere. If it was happening to men in Walmarts all around the country, I wouldn't condone that. And in the movies, Shelley Lubin, she has talked about even in your more gentle porns where the finished product, the movie that you see is nice, gentle. What goes into it, they got to do take after take after take, and their vaginas are sore, and it's but same thing with men. Men got to do take after take, and their men's dick gets sore and limp, and sometimes they can't get it up to shoot the scene, and they got to have buffers and stuff, and men take all kinds of pills and shots to get their dick hard, and it takes their toll on them. The average male porn star, he makes more movies than the average woman porn star, and he gets paid, and the men get paid less. Everybody talks about the issues facing women in porn, and I know a lot of that is legitimate. It's true, a lot of what Shelley Lubin is saying, and I admire her work, how she tries to. I may disagree with her that porn itself is bad, and that but I know she's a Christian. That's what she believes in. Okay, fine. She's got to go on what she feels is right. And she talks about how all women have the same bad experience. I know there's a lot of them. Who had bad experience like her, but I don't think it's all, But however, that's what she says. Okay, whatever women, if it's some of them or all that have had bad experiences in pornos and in porno movies, and she's helping them to get on the right track, I have nothing but a respect and admiration for her work and what she's doing for troubled women porn stars. And I could say, why isn't she helping the men too? She has mentioned how men go through shit. She had a dead porn stars memorial. It was a lot of females who died, female former porn stars who died, and there was a lot of men she had on there too that died. They died of drug, alcohol overdoses, suicide, drug-induced suicide. She has mentioned that before, and I think she does care. But I understand that she is a female, and she can relate to females, and she can relate to females in the porn business. So that's who she's gonna work with, and that's her, and that's fine. I would like to see more support groups for men as well. Not that it's anybody's obligation to help women or men, that people should be forcing. But if we're going to raise this as an issue, troubled women, and when we talk about men who have had a rough time in the porn business, men who were prostitutes and had a rough life because of that, and male nude models or whatever, if we're going to especially in the black community, there's all these support groups for black women, and that's great. But I wish they would. I wish somebody would do something to help black men who are porn stars or former porn stars, and they've had bad experiences in the business, and they got drug and alcohol issues, and black males who are prostitutes. You see black male prostitutes, they're dressing up in drag and getting picked up by men, crazy men, and who have homosexual fetishes, and they have rough sex fantasies. You see black men getting picked up by men, and black men, they get beaten up and get cigarettes burned against their arm and get beat up, killed, and left dead on the side of the road. That happens to black male prostitutes just like it happens to black women prostitutes. And of course, it goes without saying it happens to white women prostitutes and white men prostitutes and Hispanic and people of other races. But right now, I wanted to specifically talk about black men, black women, and black men, and how there seems to kind of be a double standard. But sometimes, like in the case of like Professor Griff and his wife talk about these issues, and in the case, I don't think it's that they're being biased or hypocritical, but they probably haven't thought much about how the sexualization of black men, so they only really pretty much deal with black women, and that's fine. And I agree with some of the things they say about exploitation of black women. I don't agree with some of with other things he says about that, but that's fine. Um, you know, they probably haven't really noticed, like most people don't notice, how much men, and in particular, how much black men get exploited and sexualized through the media, through TV, movies, and porn, and black male strippers, and black male nude models, and all kinds of stuff. And I would like to hear more people talk about that. Like me, I think, again, I know a lot of people, Professor Griff and Black Dot and Sister Shahrazad Ali, a lot of those people, and even Tommy Sotomayor, he might disagree with me that when I say I don't think there's anything wrong with women or men getting sexualized. I don't think there. When we're talking about black people, I don't think there's anything wrong with black women or black men getting sexualized and exploited in that, if it's consensual and if they're doing for what I would say are the right reasons, because you really are into that, or you need to make money and it's not hurting you, if it's not hurting you too much to degrade yourself a bit, just like if you take a job at McDonald's or Walmart that you don't really want, you take a job as a janitor or a bus driver that you don't really want, but if it doesn't hurt you too much to degrade yourself a bit and do that job for money, okay. But some bus drivers and people that work at McDonald's and Walmart, if it makes you miserable degrading yourself, and you're just miserable, you come home miserable every day, and you're depressed, and you become alcoholic and get into drug abuse over that, if it makes you miserable to degrade yourself, if it hurts you that a lot to degrade yourself, and it's ruining your life, then you shouldn't do it. Then you shouldn't degrade yourself. Same thing I say with female or male strippers, female or male porn stars. If it does hurt you, if it doesn't hurt you to degrade yourself a bit, okay, do it. If it does hurt you a lot to degrade yourself and it makes your life miserable, then don't do it. Whether you're a man, woman, black woman. If you love doing porn, if you're doing porn or stripping, if you're a man that's a woman that's a stripper, a man that's a stripper, woman that's a porn star, man that's a porn star, if you're a woman that's a prostitute, man that's a prostitute, and you love it, okay, then great, do it because you love it and you can get paid for it on top of that. If you're degrading yourself because you don't like it, but you need money, and it doesn't hurt you to degrade yourself a bit, and then all the negative unfair criticism you get, which I know it's unfair, but that's just how the world is, all the criticism you get from men and from women, if you could deal with that, great, and it don't hurt you too much, then do it. If you can't deal with that, being a stripper, prostitute, porn star, whether you're male or female, if you can't deal with if you're degrading yourself, it's not really what you want to do, not really what you like, but you degrade yourself, and if it hurts you a lot, if it hurts you that much, and it makes you miserable to degrade yourself to the point where you're hardly ever happy in your life, then it's not for you. Then obviously it's not for you, and you should get out of it and not do it. No, don't even consider doing it in the first place if you're not sure, that if you think that this is probably the wrong thing and I know I'm going to regret it later, then don't do it. Whatever kind of issues you might have, women, men, and black women, black men, get counseling from family, friends, or professional. Maybe that's what you need, and porn or stripping is not the right outlet, whether you're woman or man, black woman or black man. And yeah, and back to my original point, we don't talk enough about men, and we don't talk enough about, in the black community, we don't talk enough about black men. If you're going to say it's okay for men to be strippers and for men to be porn stars, for women to lust over LL Cool J and all these sexy male rappers and 50 Cent and all these guys. If it's okay for black women to lust over these black men, if it's okay for black women to go to strip clubs, ladies clubs, and watch black men strip and get a thrill off, I think there's nothing wrong with it. And if you're going to say there's nothing wrong with it, then there shouldn't be nothing wrong with black women if they want to being sexualized, if that's what they choose to do, be strippers or porns. And it's okay, and it should be okay for black men to watch it and enjoy it. But if you're going to say it's bad for black men to watch and get a thrill, for black men to watch and enjoy the sexualization of black women, then you got to say by the same token, by the same logic, that it's not good for black women to watch black male strippers, for black women to have bachelorette parties where they have men strip for them, and for black women to lust over Tupac. If you don't want me lusting over Beyonce or Janet Jackson or Nicki Minaj on a video, then you shouldn't be okay with black women lusting over Tupac or lusting over 50 Cent or LL Cool J or MC Hammer dancing on there with his little Speedos. If you're going to be okay with, if you think it's wrong for black women to be sexualized and for black men to get pleasure out of it, then you have to say, if you're being fair and unbiased, then you have to say it's just as wrong for black men to be sexualized and for black women to lust over it and enjoy it. With this, it's either one or the other, And again, strippers, black male strippers, black female strippers, black male porn stars, black female porn stars, whatever, black male nude models, black female nude model. If they have issues in their life, that they've been molested or, abused physically, mentally, in some kind of way in their life, they need to end. Stripping and porn is just making them feel worse. The black women and black men the ones that is their experience, then they need to get out of it. Obviously, it's not for them. Shelley Lubins and I can argue, and Professor Griff and we can argue about, is it right for anybody, for any black woman or any black men to allow themselves to be sexualized, for any reason. But one thing I do agree with him on, and what I agree with Miss Shelley Lubins on, is that if you're doing it for those reasons, because you were molested or whatever, and you're in porn, it makes you feel worse, and you get hooked on drugs and alcohol because porn is you've had bad experiences in the porn business and you hate it, and you're miserable, you're suicidal. If that is your experience, whether you're a woman or man, whether you're a black woman or black man, if that is your experience, then it's not for you, and you should get out of it. If you haven't done it yet, if you're a woman or man who's thinking about doing porn, but you think that you're probably going to regret it, then maybe it's not for you. Maybe you shouldn't do it. Seek whatever counseling you need, professional or from friends and family. And maybe porn is not for you. Because it's like people, they may shame me for watching porn. How could you watch it? When this is what happens to people that do it, the actors and actresses. But that's the same thing as in Hollywood. If I watch an action movie, some Rambo movie or Terminator or Star Wars or something, or some Disney movie, some Walt Disney movie with The Rock, The Tooth Fairy or Bedknobs and Broomsticks. Those aren't porno movies, but a lot of those men and women and children, little boys and little girls, they're involved in all that Illuminati shit, the Project Monarch and all that shit. A lot of those individuals that I'm watching on those movies, that's, they have fucked up shit happen to them. And if I'm buying those movies and watching that on TV or on Netflix or whatever, then it's just like if I watch porn. And if you're gonna say, well, don't watch porn no more if you know all the fucked up stuff that happens to women and men behind the scenes, and well, then by the same logic, then I guess I shouldn't watch anything on TV. And you shouldn't watch anything on TV if you know about the Illuminati and all that stuff that people are on the internet always riffing and raffing about. And you know them kids in them Disney movies you watch, and those men in those, and women and men in your action movies and your dramas and your comedies. You know, a lot of those men and women are slaves to Illuminati slaves and Project Monarch and all that shit, and getting sexually abused and forced into devil worship. You know that's happening to men, women, and children, and you still watch those movies. Then aren't you a hypocrite by telling me don't watch porn no more? By that token, I shouldn't watch anything on TV. Just about. And you shouldn't watch anything on TV if you're going to say that. And I know that like in this video, just like the last video yesterday where I was talking about this. In this video, I jumped around and covered several different things, several different points in regarding the sexualization of men and women, and particularly black men and black women. With my main point being, people complain about women and black women getting sexualized. My main point being, well, look at black men get sexualized too, like crazy. And whatever stance you take on it, whatever your standpoint is, whether you think it's right or wrong for black women to get sexualized, even if it's consensual, if you think it's right or wrong for black men to get sexualized, even though it's consensual, or men or women of any race, white women, white men, Asian women, Asian men, Hispanic women, Hispanic men, if you think it's right or wrong. I just wanted to, my main point being, look at what they look at. It happens to both genders are exploited, women and men, and sexualized. Both in particular, in the black community, both black women and black men are sexualized. Both black women and black men are sexualized a lot. And just acknowledge that whatever standpoint you take, whether you think it's right or wrong for either gender to be exploited that way, just know and understand that it happens to both genders, not just one, not only women. It's not only women. It happens to men too. And that's my main point. And for people to think about that and look into it a little more if you want. And this is the second this video. I thought it was going to be shorter than the first about this. I thought it was going to be shorter than the one I did yesterday. This one ended up being longer, 49 minutes and counting so far. And that's all I wanted to say to continue that up. I think I'm done with this topic for now, but I might be making more videos on this in the future. Everyone, thanks for listening. Be sure to leave your comments in the comments section below. Have a nice day and goodbye.